Everybody, it's Mom to Wife of One. I hope you guys haven't missed me too terribly much. I know you have not seen me in a couple weeks, so I haven't given my take on Married at First Sight. I've missed the last two episodes, or at least I've missed recording the last two episodes. I actually watched the episodes, I just didn't do a video. Let me explain what happened. I've been having a few health challenges, nothing life threatening, but they've been challenging enough that I haven't had a lot of energy and it's taken my focus away from a few things. And then I also had some computer issues and I actually just got my computer back a few days ago and it's still not fixed like they thought it would be. That's annoying. But I came on here to say that I watched, today is March 13th. So we're still on Married at First Sight. They had decision day for three of the couples last week, and then Chloe and Michael are going to have their decision day in a few weeks. But I've decided that I'm done. I'm well and truly done with this show. And let me explain why. I first started watching Married at First Sight. I think I started with maybe the third season and I randomly came across it. And at the time, I was not married. But I started watching Married at First Sight because I liked the idea of watching people in real time fall in love with each other and also gain some understanding of who they are and taking the time to learn another person and having these experts on hand who can really guide them through the process. I really liked the process of watching these people morph and change and in most cases mature from the first day of them meeting their spouse to the decision day. I really enjoyed that. Somewhere along the way, I think the goal of the show has really shifted. And I know everyone blames the experts, that we need new experts and it's their fault and they shouldn't be vetting them, blah, blah, blah. I think that at the end of the day, the experts are employees of the show. They are not showrunners, they're not producers, they are the talent. They're part of the talent just like all the couples are. So they can only do but so much. They are there to give words of advice, to give wisdom. They are there to be present, but you can only be present but so much. If the couples aren't calling you to ask for advice, then you're not going to insert yourself until it's time for you to do all of your visits to talk to all the couples about whatever. So I've never blamed the experts for the most part. But I think, again, the show has gone in a direction that I don't really care for. This decision day is probably the most messiest decision day that I've ever watched of this show. And again, we're on season 17. I've watched every single season. Even though I started with season 3, I went back and watched seasons 1 and 2. I watched every single season of the show. And this decision day was the messiest that I've seen. And I'm not a big reality show person. Most of the time when I watch reality shows, I mean, honestly, outside of Married at First Sight, I don't watch any of the reality shows. I used to love Dancing with the Stars. I used to watch The Voice a little bit. Well, it's competition shows. It wasn't really a lot of mess. It wasn't, people dragging people through the mud. It was just people trying to win money and doing their best and trying to get their shot. So Married at First Sight is the only reality show that I watch, and I know some other people like a lot. And there's so many reality shows out there, and I'm not knocking anybody for watching that. That is your prerogative. That literally has nothing to do with me. I don't care. But some people watch reality show because they want the mess. They want to see the fighting. They want to see the bickering. They want to see the person who's talking about this person behind their back and this person who's being catty and this person who's cheating on this person. I'm not here for that. That's just not what's entertaining for me. So when it gets to that, now I'm like, okay, this further drives home the point that I'm kind of beyond this show now. It's not fulfilling the purpose. So this will be my last video with Married at First Sight. And I know at first I said I was going to see it all the way through, and we probably have maybe 3 or 4 more episodes. Mentally, I don't think I can do it. But I can tell you that one of the sites that I follow on Instagram, they post spoilers, and they posted some a few weeks ago, so I already know. And if you don't want to know the spoiler, feel free to fast forward through this part. I'll talk really fast that Michael and Chloe get divorced. Okay. Hopefully, you fast forward that part if you didn't want to know. I don't know how many of you even are watching the show. Some of you may like the mess. I just don't. But we're going to do the recap anyway. I'm not going to worry about the episode before decision day because I barely remember what happened at this point because that was 2 weeks ago. Decision day. One thing I appreciate is that they did not bring Lauren and Orion back for decision day. They made their decision a long time ago, but sometimes they'll still bring people back to see if they've changed their mind. So I'm really glad that they didn't do that. They started, I don't remember who started with, we're not even going to go there. Becca and Austin said yes on decision day. I don't know why, because it made no sense. And from what I heard from the person that I follow, they said yes on decision day, but then a week later they said no. It's it didn't make any sense for them to say yes in the first place. She still hasn't gotten any sex from Austin. He claims that he likes her. She claims that he acts one way on camera and one way off camera. None of these issues have been resolved at all. And I also know, and I've said before, that in 8 weeks' time, sometimes all the issues are not resolved, but at least you have an idea of how we can resolve this in the future, right? And that just kind of didn't happen. So it didn't make sense at all for them to stay together. But I know the experts kind of needed to win. I did appreciate the experts get, and they've done this before, where before the couple comes in to give their decision, the experts are all seated together and they're just kind of talking about what they've seen over the season, what kind of issues that particular couple faces, what they hope will happen, and what needs to happen in order for the couple to be successful, regardless of whether they say yes or no. So I always appreciate seeing that. Back in Austin, they say yes, bye, we're gone. Cameron and Claire, they both say no. And it seemed like in the conversation, they had genuine respect for each other. That's not apparent in all the couples. And I think that respect goes a long way. And it's essential with when you're in a couple and also when it comes to friendship. So it seemed like they understand that we are in two different places. We can give each other what we actually need and want when it comes to a marriage. They both apologized to each other. It seems very genuine. There was no hard feelings. It was amicable. It would be great if all divorces ended like that. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But I like the way that they kind of put that to bed. I was like, okay, this is cool. This is good. Emily and Brennan come out, and they had so much mess prior to decision day, cursing each other out in person, over the phone. It was already messy. So I didn't necessarily know what to expect on decision day. I didn't know if it was going to be even more mess or if they're going to be calmed down. It seemed like it was a lot more tame. But one thing that was getting on my nerves, that was getting on the experts' nerves as well, is that Brendan kept saying, all I tried to do was protect you. I guess I shouldn't have tried to protect you, but that's really what all I tried to do. And it was infuriating because the more he talked, the more Emily is making, and Emily, not like she didn't make sense before, but she's telling him, okay, well, you're not holding yourself accountable because I'm telling you that you did da 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 da. And instead of saying, oh, I didn't realize I did that, I apologize for that, or I didn't realize I did that, that was never my intention. It was just, but I tried to protect you. And all I wanted to do is protect you. And maybe I went about it the wrong way, but that's all I wanted to do is protect you. So you're still not holding yourself accountable, though, for the things you said. So you think because you said these things or because you treated me this way, that was your way of protecting me from getting hurt? And it didn't make any sense. And Pascal called him on it. He was like, honestly, Brennan, this seems like BS. And Dr. Pia was right there with him. She was like, mm-hmm. He looked at her and he was like, am I right in saying that? She's like, you're absolutely right. Yes, you are. And I know that if they're both black, so if they had been really comfortable in their blackness animal, they would looked at each other like, because that's just the universal black sign for, I know he lying. But I could tell Dr. P wanted to do it. It was like right under the surface. He just kind of kept it cool. But I loved how they were basically not, they weren't beating Brennan up. They weren't necessarily taking Emily's side outright, like, Brendan, you're trash, it's your fault. But they were definitely kind of asking the same questions that Emily was asking and trying to get them to understand, hey, you need to hold yourself accountable, just like she needs to hold herself accountable. And, one thing Dr. P had called him on, because he kept saying, I tried everything possible. No one can say I didn't. And Dr. P was like, well, you didn't, though. She was like, I can speak for myself. I almost speak for the experts, but I know that I gave you clear homework to do with your wife in order to build intimacy, in order to build trust, and you just flat out did not do it. So, at least from my perspective, you didn't do everything you were supposed to do. I was like, you know what? And he can't dispute that. Because what can he say? He didn't do everything. So, obviously, they both say no. It seems like they kind of got everything off their chest, but, he's not in a place where he's really going to receive that he did anything wrong or that he did not show up 100%. He's not ready to receive that information, so he's not going to be able to hold himself accountable this time. So they're saying by the experts, and Emily is crying, and I see Dr. Pia pull her aside. And again, it was like, Emily, we understand. You're going to be fine. You're going to be so prepared for the next guy that comes into your life. And it's really interesting how the narrative changes from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. The beginning of the show, Emily was the one that was like the red flag in the relationship because she had never been in any relationship ever, never had a boyfriend, had things she had never gone on more than 3 or 4 dates with the individual person. So it was like, oh my gosh, what's she gonna do with the marriage? She was way more mature as a wife than I ever would have thought she'd be. So I give her credit for what she went through. I give her credit for staying, but we all knew that it wasn't gonna last. Like we just knew that. So they all, make their decisions. They come back and, like they do every season now, they bring all 10 people back together to have dinner, lunch, or whatever for them to talk about their experiences and to see who said yes and who said no. Before this, though, we see Becca, which I guess she's in the apartment that she and Austin live in. And she's like, I'm in this apartment. It's late. And I get a text from Claire and Emily, who are out having fun. And they text me a picture of Austin and Brennan, who I guess were at dinner somewhere. And Becca and Claire just happened to come into the same restaurant where they were. And the picture is of, who's the people's name? I don't forgot. Austin. There we go. Austin and Brennan having dinner with one of the female producers of the show. Now, that's all the information that we get as the audience. We don't know what the picture is of. We don't know if she's upset because there are no other people around. We don't know if in the picture Austin is flirting with her. Is he touching her? Is he kissing her? We don't know any of this stuff because we never see the picture. And that's literally all the information we get is that he's at dinner and the producer is there. Again, we don't know if that was set up ahead of time. The producer could have just happened to be in the restaurant, just like Emily and Claire happened to show up at the same restaurant as Brendan and Austin. So what's to say that the producers didn't just happen to show up? We literally have no way of knowing that, and maybe that came out like at a different time off camera, but we still don't know the particulars of how that happened by the end of the episode. But they're all together to just rehash, the past, rehash this experience and what did you learn? What's next for you? All of this stuff, right? So even Michael and Chloe come. It's all nine of them sitting around a nice fireplace eating pizza. Becca comes in, or comes, they're all outside. So Becca comes outside of the building to join everybody else. And you can tell in her demeanor, in her walk, that she means business. She is out for blood. She confronts Austin in front of everybody. Now, this is what I'll say before I get into the particulars. I understand why she did it because she has been saying for past few weeks that he's very concerned with optics. He's very concerned with how he looks on camera, and he doesn't appreciate some of the things that she said. So I know that's why she purposely confronted him on camera to make sure that he couldn't outright lie and just kind of force the conversation. I understand that. What I don't think she should have done was to have that conversation in front of everybody. You could have taken him to the side and still been on camera, but had that conversation just the two of you guys. I don't think it was necessary to have in front of other people. And I think the danger in that is that you got the peanut gallery who's basically just saying, that's right. Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, he lied. That's unnecessary because the way everybody is situated, you have on one couch Michael and Chloe, and you have Becca. Austin, Brennan, and Cameron are all in chairs by themselves. And then on another couch, you have the rest of the women. You have Emily, you have Claire, you have Lauren. So Emily, Claire, and Lauren are directly facing Becca and basically giving her verbal confirmation, verbal encouragement. Yeah, ask him. Yeah, he did lie. Or no, we saw the picture. But I'm like, this is why you don't do this in front of everybody else. One thing I did notice, every single man kept their mouth shut. They said not a word. But even Brennan, who was out with Austin, didn't come to his defense. And honestly, he's not supposed to. Austin is a grown man, and Brennan knew that's not my business. So if someone asks me a direct question, I'll answer it. But guess what? I'm not about to jump up like, no, well, he's innocent. He didn't do this. What are you doing? Because that's not my business. I'm staying out of it. That's a conversation between Austin and Becca. All the men understood that. None of the women, except for Chloe, she was hugged up with Michael, none of the women understood that. And that did make me upset that they were talking and getting all up in the conversation. I didn't like that at all. So as they're going back and forth, she's like, you lied. I can't trust you. You understand why I can't trust you now? Because you didn't tell me this and you da-da-da and da-da-da. Again, we still don't know the entirety of that situation with the producer. Like, we really don't know. Because the thing is, with this show, as long as it shoots, as long as it runs, the cast, the couples, they end up becoming friendly with the producers anyway. So it's not necessarily unheard of that they would hang out with the producers, especially after the show is essentially done for the people who've made their decision. So again, don't quite understand all the logistics and we'll never really know. We can just assume that obviously she saw something she wasn't comfortable with or whatever. Still don't appreciate how she handled it. I didn't think that was right. So, in the midst of her going back and forth with him, Claire is piping up and she's like, I just need to say something. I'm not trying to get in your business. And as soon as you say that, it's like, yes, you are. Because if you weren't trying to get in the business, you would have said nothing at all this whole time. You would have sat there, drunk your wine, eaten your pizza, and you would have kept it pushing. Nobody asked you anything. And yes, I know you are a therapist. You are not their therapist because you're just as screwed up as everybody else who's there. So you really shouldn't open your mouth at all. But she opens her mouth and she's like, I just think it's really interesting that, at some point all of the women have been silenced. And Cameron, this was Cameron's shining moment. You hear me? Cameron is back. He's healthier, got a full beard going on. He said, with not venom in his voice, not necessarily venom, but he said, "Don't you dare fix your lips to ever say that I silenced you, because we both know that you were the one silencing me." It's like, oh, I was so taken aback. I felt proud of Cameron. I was like, okay. And he basically said there are so many conversations that he and Claire had off camera, and she told him, "Don't talk about this stuff on camera. I don't want this stuff getting out." One of the things is that she's not attracted to him at all, even though she kept saying on camera, "He's just so attractive. I'm so attracted to my husband." And oh my gosh, and blah, blah, blah. So he was like, he didn't say any of that right then and there, but he basically said, I was the one who was silenced in our relationship. Don't make it seem like I've ever silenced you. Whenever you talked, I always gave you the floor. I always did this, always did that. So they started going back and forth. And then Brennan didn't jump into it necessarily. He just said, I just want for us all to just enjoy this night because nothing is getting resolved here. Like, we're not getting anywhere. Nothing will get resolved tonight. We just enjoy this night, enjoy the pizza. And I actually agree with Brennan. But then they jump up, the girls, because they're like, well, what are you talking about? Nothing's getting resolved. I'm trying to get the truth. And Brendan was like, "You're going after Austin. Claire and Cameron are going at each other. So, no, literally nothing is getting resolved. Everyone's just griping and sniping at each other. How is anything getting solved at this point?" Because again, now that Brendan said something, now they want to jump up and say something because it's Brendan. Like, Brendan was telling the absolute truth. We are here. This is probably our last night with all 10 of us together. I'm trying to enjoy my pizza and enjoy my beer in peace. Literally, everybody sniping, saying this, saying that, calling each other's names. Because Claire and them was saying, like, "Oh, well, you can't trust a liar," because basically that's a lie. So, of course, they're going to believe the lie. And that's the part that got me too. She was basically saying that what Cameron, I guess part of what, something that Cameron said may have been a lie, and something that Austin said may have been a lie, whatever. But the way she said it, it made it seem like, oh, it's a lie because you think that you have the ultimate truth. But who's to say that what you think is the truth isn't really a lie? Like, unless you have solid proof of any of this stuff, you literally, it's just people saying words. There's no proof of anything that anybody said. So it bothered me that she bothered me greatly. Claire was really pissed me off that moment, and Cameron had enough. That Cameron got up and he left. He was like, "I ain't got time for this, and I don't have to do this because guess what? We decided we get a divorce. What do I need to be here for? I don't." And so you see him walk away, and he's in front of the building, and he's like, "Yeah, since I left, she's been texting me, basically warning me not to tell her secrets, like the fact she's not attracted to me." Yep, that was a secret too. I wasn't supposed to say that. And you do see Claire constantly texting him, like, "Yeah, he's not answering. I don't know where he is." It's like, why would he come back? Why wouldn't he leave? They were shocked that he left. Why wouldn't he? All y'all doing is fighting with each other. And he's like, "I don't need this in my life. I had heart surgery, y'all. Y'all keep forgetting. I got issues still. Let me chill. You really want me to stay here and get pissed off with you and get into a shouting match with everybody here when that's going to impact my health? That's all, y'all. And I'm out." And he left. And then the one kind of nice moment is when they were talking about what they're going to do in the future, like what's the next step. Emily went over to Brennan and she was like, "Honestly, I hate that things happen the way they did. And even though, you don't talk about your emotions like that, what we went through together and even going through this divorce is not going to be easy for either of us. And I hate that we both have to experience it, but I hope that things will be good with you. I hope that things will be good with me. I just want us both to find our happy, whatever that looks like." I was like, okay, that was very mature of her. And Brendan gave her a hug. I was like, okay, this is nice. And then Lauren told Orion, Orion said he wants to be friends. I'm open to being friends now. I think I'm in a place where I'm open for that. Why do you need him to be a friend? You have male friends. She's in her 30s. You already have established male friendships, I'm sure. You were married to Ryan for 10 days, and I'm sure there was nothing in those 10 days that was so awe inspiring that you're like, "I have to have this person in my life." I know there was nothing in 10 days that led to that, especially because all them 10 days weren't great. A lot of 10 days was just fighting and him saying this and you saying this, whatever. So there still wasn't enough in that span of time for you to be like, I need this man in my life as my friend. You don't have to do that. That's not required. If things don't work out, they don't work out. And you can still be amicable and say, okay, this didn't work out. We're getting a divorce. I wish you the best. Okay, I wish you the best too. And y'all can leave it at that. We don't have to have a friendship. We don't have to talk to each other. There's literally nothing in the book saying that that has to take place. But that's basically the crux of Married at First Sight. Like I said, I heard about what's happening with the fifth couple. I don't think I'm going to watch to see how that happens necessarily. I had hope for some of the couples. I really only had hope for Michael and Chloe and for Becca and Austin. Like I said, the show has taken a direction that I'm not overly fond of. I'm just, and maybe the show's been on for a lot of years, so maybe I'm just not their target audience anymore. And that's possible too. Maybe I've outgrown the show in my 40s. It's not for me. Now, I first started watching when I wasn't married. I've been married now for 10 years. And not saying I know exactly what's happening and that I know how a marriage works for everybody. I don't. But it's not fun for me to watch anymore. It's not entertaining for me to watch anymore. So I'm going to move on, maybe to other shows, maybe to other critiques, maybe to other content. I don't know what the future will hold. But Married at First Sight, my time with you has ended. Hope you guys have enjoyed my reviews and recaps over the past, I don't know, year or two maybe. If you want to know more about Married at First Sight, feel free to go to Lifetime to watch it. If you want to know more about me, definitely subscribe to my channel because I will be posting some content in the future. Make sure you like this video and that you share this video if you'd like. Comment below if you're surprised by anything that's happened this season on the show. Comment below if you have suggestions for things that you're watching. It doesn't have to be reality shows because reality shows aren't even really my thing. But if there are just TV shows that you really like, feel free to let me know what I should be watching right now. I'll tell you right now, I watch Will Trent on Tuesdays typically. I watch Abbott Elementary. I watch Ghosts. I watch 911. Those are pretty much the shows that I'd never miss. But there are other shows that you think I should watch, please let me know. I have Peacock and Hulu and I have Netflix and I have Amazon Prime. So any of those streaming platforms, and I have HBO and Showtime and all that stuff. So if you guys want to recommend something, it doesn't even have to be a show. It could be a movie that you really like. That you're like, I really want to know what Mama to Wife One has to say about this movie. I'd be more than happy to watch it and give my feedback. So leave those comments below as well. Hope you guys have an amazing night, and I will see you soon. Peace.